Hello everybody on the internet. Welcome to Monday the 15th of April 2019 and the miniatures ramble with me, Doc Eon. I'm going to start with a couple of nice hassle-free minis that I finished painting. Slightly sci-fi, near future, post-apocalyptic perhaps. These are the ones that I painted during the painting evening at the store. And I like painting futuristic people because it frees me from having to come up with natural hair colors. I can just say, oh, they dyed their hair some weird color, any color. And, well, I'm most happy with this one, actually. I think the contrast came out well between sort of the black jacket with the red insides and the relatively dark colors on the body and this light blue trim on the jacket to contrast this. So we have a dark light contrast. And I think the skin color came out nice as well, kind of dusky skin. I don't do that often, sort of purplish hair. Here we went with more pink hair and tried to go for an Asian skin tone. Not sure if I managed it. The sort of three-tone pants, or I don't know if it's. I think the red. The idea is that this is a body, like worn on top of tights, and the tights are two-colored. They have this dark section on the inside and the light section on the outside. Some rough spots under the arms, but as I just painted those really dark and hope nobody notices it as I talked about in the prep phase. The face, in the extreme close-ups, it might not look that great because the eyes were not really well sculpted because there's a lot of hair hanging in front of it, and I couldn't really get in there to paint them, so I just painted a dark shadow. And you know, looking at it on the table, you usually see it from above and it looks normal, but if you like tilt it up and you zoom in, it looks weird. But don't do that, maybe. Yeah, so they came out well, fine. Next up we have the Succubi from Hassle-Free Miniatures, which I placed on these bases from microarts, I believe, that are kind of hellscape-ish. And well, they're maybe I should have warned you, they're not safe for work. I experimented a lot with trying to get a sort of reddish, devilish skin tone without going over the top, while still making it look like they could maybe pass as human. And, you know, adding a few devilish details here and there. And this one is perhaps the most, well, the most. And here's the seductive one. Yeah, I think they look okay. They were difficult. Some of the details, you know, like eyes and lips, for example, were very, very small. These are not like heroic scale, they're kind of true scale minis. So it required some very careful painting, but, you know, for tabletop use, I think they came out fine. What do you think? And finally, somewhat surprisingly, I actually finished all of these guys. And I finished them by not being very picky, by just speed painting like mad and saying, screw it, this is good enough. Like this monk, very, very duotone. I tried to do some interesting effects with this sort of green energy coming out of there. Some of them are spewing. Hopefully you can see that his hand is underneath this. This his fingers, they turned a little bit too much green. I think it's more clear on this guy. Here you can see the actual skin color showing through a bit more. And yeah. I mean, I think that they're reasonably effective. Even though they're like grossly speed painted, like really rough. I mean, this is like the absolute minimum that I can do on a miniature and still feel like it is any sort of honest work on it. I mean, any if I did any less than this on a mini, I would feel ashamed. And in fact, they are not completely finished. The transfer on this shield, I added right now, and you can see it's kind of glossy. I've not finished. I have not had time to put on the solvent that will fuzz out the edges, and then do some more layers of varnish to make it all blend in. And that's because that process, it's not many minutes of work, but it has to be spread out over a long period of time because you have to wait for the fluids to dry and that sort of thing. And I wanted to shoot this clip while I still had natural light. So I will keep working on this guy and fix this this decal to make it look a little bit better. But otherwise, we are done. And so, well, a megaton of stuff got done this week. Quite pleased with that. Let's move on to works in progress. And here's the two minis I intend to bring to the store tonight for painting evening. They're very different. Well, they're both from hassle-free minis, and I put them on the same sort of micro arch basis, but this one is all armor. This is no armor, no clothing even. Well, she has some sandals, with some lacing up her calves, but otherwise she is completely naked. Oh well, these things happen. Yeah, not much to say about them really. I still don't know what this hat is on Genova. We'll just have to see how I deal with that. Here we can see the Empire of the Jade Triad lined up for your perusal. They are prepped and based, not primed yet, haven't gotten around to that. We'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, it took me a while to assemble them all because a lot of them were multi-part, not the basic grunts like this. This is a single part model. I haven't been as overzealous with scraping mold lines and the like, because, yeah, frankly, these are not that high quality models, and I don't think they're worth it. Another reflection I've made is I used, on the previous set, the Kingdom of Avalon, I for whatever reason, decided to use my old sand, or rather GeForce 9 basing grit to make the bases. Whereas on these, I've done it the way I usually do these days. I use the Vallejo Earth texture paste. What I've started to feel is that when painted up the old way, the grit actually kind of looks better. It has more three-dimensionality to it. It's not realistic, it's completely out of scale, because the grains of the grit are like huge rocks, like almost boulders at this 28mm scale. And this earth texture is a lot more realistic. Question is, do I want realism at this scale? Maybe I want more cartoonishness. Maybe that's more effective, maybe that's more visually interesting anyway. So maybe I'm swinging around back to the old ways. We'll see, we'll see. For my next projects, I thought I'd be a little conservative in how much I add to the plate. There's a lot in the pipeline right now.
and I'm uncertain how much painting time there will be in the upcoming week. But I do need a new store project, as I call them these days, what I'll bring to the painting evening at the local game store next Monday, and I thought I'd keep to the schedule of 2 minis and go back to sci-fi this time, and for a change, not hassle-free minis. So I picked out 2 minis here. The first of these is actually an Infinity Mini, my first and only Infinity figure in my collection. I've never bought into Infinity. I got this as a promo with a book that I bought on painting. You know, their in-house painter released a book of techniques that I bought. And so this is Joan of Arc, and we have a little painting guide here. The blue-white armor and a red tabard or skirt or whatever you want to call it, blonde hair. Very typical, yeah. We'll see what we can make of that. And the other one is I'm uncertain what the name of this figure is. I was pretty sure it was a Bombshell miniature from the Bombshell Babes line, but looking at the tab, it does say Bombshell on it. So but it's not in a blister pack. And looking at their website now, I cannot find a picture of this model. It must be discontinued, so I don't know her name, but I do know she has a pet. She has some cute little chibi cat of some sort. And fully armored in pigtails and a big honking gun. So I just thought that was an amusing figure, a little cartoony. This one is so serious, and this one is more humorous. So I thought they'd go well together. So what do I want to set up for painting at home? Well, as I mentioned, let's not go overboard here. So, but I felt, you know, those demon babes, the succubi I just painted from Hassle Free? I felt I wanted to do something more with those bases. I've got 7 more bases in that set of Hellscape kind of bases. So I went through my collection. What do I have that would fit on a base like that? And I've gotten 3 more hassle-free minis. This one is called Samira Maurice. She's from the Daemonettes and Fairy range. And she's kind of tiefling, wizard or sorcerer or something. I'm not sure, because she has these full-length skirts, how well I'll be able to place her on one of those bases. I might have to remodel it a little bit. The base, I mean. They're plastic, so I can easily, if it's too bumpy or something, I can just carve some off. So we'll see. Then I found this little fighter. We don't have her name here. Who looks chaotic and like she might be in league with the forces of hell somehow. She could be on one of those bases. And then we have just a random nude lady with wild hair and a sword. She looks like she could be some sort of succubus as well. She doesn't have horns and shit, but you know, she's definitely up to something. The tricky thing about this model is that it has no tab on the bottom and no way for me to drill into these feet. I don't know how I'd be able to pin this. Maybe into one of the heels, but it would be really iffy. So this is going to be an experiment of just super gluing like the tips of her feet onto the base and praying that it holds. I mean, this is resin. She weighs nothing, this figure, so it's not like it's going to the weight of it is not going to cause it to break, to fall off. It's just the question of if it will stand up to handling. You know, if I poke it will the glue hold. And, well, as I say, we'll just have to see. And finally, oh yes, I decided, when I was looking at sci-fi figures, and I found in my hassle-free collection, I found this, which does not have a tabbed thing. It has one of these tactile basis. It doesn't really look like it was sculpted by Kev. I think this is one of the... They do carry a few minis that were sculpted by other people for, I don't know, for contests and stuff. I think this might be one of them. It's sort of a short little elf in a spacesuit. I just thought this was interesting, so I'll just make one of my normal dark bases for this one, and just paint it up for fun, not in any sort of theme or anything. Just cool mini. That is my plan for what to prep for next week. So, in conclusion, I'm all done for this episode. See you next week. Click like, subscribe, share, comment, and all that stuff. I'll be back, same time, same channel. But until then, I'm signing off.